I bought a 26-unit apartment building.
Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So you're in for a treat. This is a video. It's in 4 parts. It's my good buddy, Doug. He's been investing longer than I have. We both made our fortunes investing in real estate. Both of us started in our 20s, been doing it a long time. I've been doing it 40 years. He's been doing it even longer. I think you're going to enjoy it. Both started out in California. So please subscribe to this channel. It helps the channel. If you enjoy the content, let me know. Also, comment and like. Enjoy the show. I talk about you all the time, Doug. I reference you, when I talk about lessons learned, and so it's really cool to have you on. And so I should just introduce you. So I've got a good buddy of mine I've known for almost 40 years, is Doug Campbell. He's a real estate investor. He was investing before I could even buy a piece of real estate. Not that he's that much older than me, but he's older than me. But we've known each other a long time, and we became fast friends through a friend of mine.
So each time you do something, you've got a different animal and you've got a different problems.
Right.
And it's like anything else, you got to crawl before you can walk. You got to walk before you can run. When you buy one house, for instance, or a little rental, and you're scared to death the first time you do anything, right? So then after you've done something, well, it's not a big deal, or even when you have a problem that you've never had before, you're nervous, you don't know what you're going to do.
Right.
If you had the damn problem 100 times, it doesn't really affect you as the first time. So, pretty soon you get real comfortable with larger things and stuff like that. And
it's all relative, right?
Yeah. And, but I can't overemphasize that if you do a little calculations on, and you talk about everyone's motivated, as well as I do, Tom, when they lower the interest rate, the real estate market just raises the price of the property.
Of
right?
course.
And so
it's beautiful if you're on the right side of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem there is that number gets bigger. The people who are paying for that thing, their wages don't go up proportional to how people can inflate something.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're still making whatever, $1,000 a month or 2,000 a month, whatever they're making. And now the property they're living or trying to live in is taking up 50% of their wages.
Yeah. Are you talking about like if they buy it and then when the interest rate comes back up, if they have a variable rate, it goes up? Or the taxes obviously go up on the property that they buy too.
No, there's a lot to, you look at the payments on a piece of property. It's a big number. Let's say, if the interest rates, that's another thing. Interest rates, historically, a decent interest rate would be 6%. I don't care what it is, right?
Yeah, my first house was 9.25%.
Yeah, and so even if you have these low interest rates, and then they raise the price, that's still a big number. You don't know. Everybody thinks, well, if interest rates go up, even if you have a fixed interest rate, how is that mortgage not going to get paid? I'll tell you how it's not going to get paid. I don't care what your payment is. You lose your job, and you have a big recession or depression.
Right.
I don't give a crap how good a deal that was when you bought it.
Right, because now you can't sell it because everybody else is stuck with the high rates to buy it from you.
And you can't make the payments because you don't have a job.
Right.
I spend 90% of my time thinking about what can go wrong.
Right.
And what are the probabilities of what those items are? If it's a small thing, I don't care. If it's something big that's going to affect me, if it happens, I spend a lot of time. What can I do about it? Plan A, plan B, plan C, that sort of thing.
Right.
But I spend 90% of my time thinking about things, what to do when things go wrong. Because when something goes right, you don't have to do anything. You're just having a nice time.
Right. And the people first started investing, and I used to laugh in California, and like around the .com bust, the interest rates went down, but the value kept going up in California. Everywhere it kept going up. And I remember being so frustrated by that because I was waiting for him to come down because I thought I was going to buy, and I was frustrated by that. And so a lot of times, like I say, technology kind of raised a lot of incomes in certain areas. And just like you go to Texas and, people go to buy a property and they say, well, I went bankrupt 5 years ago, and the banker, oh yeah, me too. No problem. Because everybody went bankrupt in Texas. It seemed like when I got there, it was like a wasteland. Like when you got there,
right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Doug's making a good point here. And like I say, my long-term hold stuff, I would refi it right now. But I already have such a great rate on it. It doesn't matter because when I bought it, I got a variable rate that was tied to the LIBOR. So I'm probably only paying 3% on my loans right now. And I don't have many loans. I'm not leveraged like I used to. So your first property you bought was a house?
My first house was also near the beach. It cost $11,000.
Wow. And was that all at that beach in California?
No, the one was at Port Hueneme, which is the beach over a few miles over. You
Right.
probably know where that is. And then the next house was in Hollywood Beach, which was, they called it Hollywood Beach because the old silent movies they would film down there. And our little house was, they called it the Alamo because it had been there for a long time. It was a Spanish style 1.5 story place.
Nice.
And then as it was that time in the 70s when everybody decided that beach property was the place to be.
Right.
So all these little houses started disappearing with big houses. You drive there now, there's nothing but big houses, maybe a few little ones left.
Yeah.
And it went crazy, the prices on that stuff.
Well, the house I bought, I ended up flipping it on what was it? Front Street? No, that's Hawaii. What was the main beach closest?
Ocean. Well, it was Ocean Drive.
Ocean Drive, I guess. Yeah. So I had one on Ocean Drive, and I wasn't on the sand. I was one up, and I was buying that for I think $425 or $450, and that was in the late '80s or early '90s.
Well, check this out. I just got a, I don't know who sent it to me, but they sent me a brochure of my old house. Remember, I paid $28 for it. Then when I sold it 5 years later for $152.
Yeah.
But that was 1979, I guess. And then I just got a little note. And mind you, this is 1,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
They're selling it for 1.4.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And that's not on the sand, is it?
No, it's right across the street.
Yeah. No, I know.
You just
That's
buy
like
the sand as $1 million, and those little lots are only 35 by 70 feet.
That was a cool place. And so how much time did you spend there at the beach? Were you there 10 years?
We moved to Santa Barbara in 1980. So we were there from maybe 72 to 80.
When you went to Santa Barbara, I remember the State Street house.
That was the first one. Then we moved out of there a few years later up to Goleta, up on the hill there. Stayed there for another 5 years.
Is that the one that had the avocado orchard on it?
Yes. Yeah.
That was gorgeous. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good little place.
How many, did you have an acre there or more?
Yeah, it was I think it was an acre, and it was sit up high, on the hill.
I remember.
There. I had this big garage that was 20 by 40. So he came over, split it in half, and made me a nice office in the back part. So I had my own 20 by 20 office that was, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were kind of getting into stocks then. A lot of people.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much money did you lose in stocks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's just to play. I just play with that stuff. You got to stay in your lane, I think. The only thing I'm really good at or know about is what I've spent so much time doing.
Right.
Besides, real estate is something where you have control. You have a tremendous amount of control. If something goes wrong, you can put your hands on it. You can, you don't, as a shareholder in something, you don't know, you can't say anything about anything. Unless you're a big guy and you buy half the shares or something.
Right. I agree. I don't like stocks. I just don't like stocks at all. I just don't like anything that's subject to bad news. Bad news and it's destroyed over nothing. It's like, what happened to the assets? Where's the, where's the assets? Weren't there some assets this year? But all of a sudden, no, you find out it's all air. And then something new takes it out anyways. And the other thing with real estate, one of the things that I've observed is, I mean, I can't think of anything else you can leverage and borrow money from a bank for on such a long-term note. Only real estate.
Well, yes, and it's the only asset I know of really that the average guy has a chance without so many people in between trying to nickel and dime or get a piece of you all the time. You know,
Right.
we all have a chance. And if you think about it, if you really think about it, a mortgage for the average person is forced savings. You know, I mean, you make a payment every month on a property, whether it's your home or not. That sucker is when it's paid for, especially your home. Everybody should own their home.
Sure.
Because, and to me, you know, it's because you got to live somewhere anytime, right? So if you own a place free and clear, that's one expense that you don't have that you would have otherwise. And then it's also an asset if you go and rent it out and you want to go someplace else.
Right.
And it's one of those things that you got your eyes on it, you got your hands on it, you know everything. You know the neighborhood, you know if you should move, you know it's getting better, you know what, you know, you can keep the damn thing. My sister, I mean, I think she refinanced her place 5 times in 40 years. And by the time my brother-in-law died, you know, I mean, she had a big bill and she's old, you know, she's like me. When the place should have been paid off, you know, he knew he wasn't real good at money, you know, and he admitted it. It's not something where you run up your credit cards and then go get another loan on your place to.
Everything should be an investment. I tell people that's how I feel. And I mean, I haven't, unlike you, you probably haven't had a mortgage forever. You know, I haven't had a mortgage in many, many years. I have a fairly modest home compared to what I could have. But if I had more of an extravagant home, I probably would just feel bad having that money sit there. I'd probably pull some of it out. But I mean, I'm in a different position than somebody new, obviously. But I never thought about it the way you just said. I always tell people you got to buy 2. I mean, at a minimum, you got to buy 2 because you got to live somewhere, and wherever you're going to, you know, if you're going to want to move, you're going to have to sell it and buy somewhere else. But you got to have that one working for you to either give you money when you're old or paying for itself as you're building your empire. And, but I never thought about it, like you said, about buying 1, because then if you had it paid for, like I said, you could at least move somewhere, pay somebody rent, and somebody's paying you rent to cover the rent where you're at. You got some options still.
Yeah, I always tell folks that, I mean, not everyone's gonna, if you own 4 houses free and clear, you'll never have to worry about the economy and all this, nothing crap going on.
Right.
You'll always have enough money to have a nice, decent life. And, you know, if they're in your neighborhood, for instance, or, I mean, that's a real nice goal to have, because again, once you get familiar with renting one house and you feel comfortable with, a lot of people probably wouldn't feel comfortable with it. Bigger properties, because now you've got you got management, you got maintenance guys. Shit, I was the maintenance guy. I started off, I mean, I was fixing anything I had. You should have a small goal. That's not actually a small goal. It's a really good goal. You want to have four rental houses that are paid for. And if you're young, you know, that doesn't take long to take all the money from them, pay them off. And then again, everybody has different energy levels, and your age has a hell of a lot to do with it too, because, you know, if you're young, you can fail a lot of times, you know. Yep. The older you get, you know, your criteria and what you need are different than when you're young. Right now, and they have a saying in this world, it's harder to keep what you have than it was to get it. And as you get older, you'll find that's true.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. It helps the channel. And thanks for watching.